Hello, welcome to Midco Sports Magazine. Stories this month that stretch from Oklahoma to Omaha and out to the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. We will take you to Rapid City, where an entrepreneur has turned a little bike you can balance into a big business. The story of the Strider and all of the games and the goodwill that have come along with it. We will meet a young man in Omaha you may have seen on the basketball court during the Summer League season. He was a witness to a school shooting, fought the fear and the trauma of that for years, and now does all that he can to help others deal with mental health issues. But we start with a family that is becoming very well known in South Dakota, and in Ames, Iowa, and Norman, Oklahoma, and anywhere else that has a big-time college football program. The four Farniok brothers are making a national name for themselves as outstanding offensive linemen. Jason Andera has their story.
The Football Bowl Subdivision, or FBS, is the highest level of college football in the world. For every 70,000 male high school seniors nationally, just one will become an FBS football player. In South Dakota, the chances of playing at an FBS school shrink even more. South Dakota has produced just 9 FBS players in the last 15 years, and remarkably, 2 of them are brothers. And there may well be 2 more in that same household. So let's get to know the Farnioks. There's Tom, Derek, Matt, and Will. They're all offensive linemen, and they're all really good at it. We'll start with the oldest, Tom. He leads the way, and not just by his age.
Tom has always been a leader, and he's always been the one that kind of looks out for everybody else. He wants success, and he expects everyone around him to have success as well, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure they get there.
Tom has always set high goals and aspirations. When he was in grade school, he drew a picture of what he wanted to be when he grew up. And it wasn't just a football player, it was a very good football player. And that's exactly what he's become. He was part of 3 state championships at Sioux Falls, Washington, and despite having all the skills, the heart, and the leadership, he didn't get any FBS offers, except for one, at Iowa State. And that's where he's spent the last 5 years of his life, and he's proven to be one of the best in the Big 12 at his position.
There are many centers in the nation, but I will say I believe, and I've watched a lot of them play, that Tom is as good, if not better, than some of them that are getting promoted. That motivates Tom and pushes Tom a little bit.
Next up is Derek. His 2 most noticeable attributes are his size and his easygoing demeanor.
Derek is not as intense in his just everyday life as Tom is, but Derek has moments of intensity. Derek has the same kind of qualities that Tom does as far as wanting everyone around to be successful and happy.
Derek towers over his brothers, checking in at 6'9". He's just 20 months younger than Tom and is separated by a year in school. Derek teamed up with Tom on their way to a perfect season in his junior year at Sioux Falls, Washington, then followed it up with another undefeated state championship as a senior. When it came time to pick a college, Derek had big-time schools drooling at his size and strength combination. He committed to Oklahoma and has been part of one of the biggest offensive lines over the past 4 years. Christine says she thought she was done having kids, but
then Matt was a surprise. And so 4 years later, Matt comes along, and I would say Matt is probably my easiest of all 4 of them. He is definitely, he has some of Tom's intensity, and he has some of Derek's chill mode. Like, he's the perfect blend of both of them. Just a good kid.
Matt is currently a junior at Sioux Falls, Washington, and may be the most talented of the bunch. So far, he's collected 12 offers from major colleges across the nation, including schools like Florida State, Stanford, and Nebraska.
And then, because Tom and Derek were so close, I didn't want Matt to be down there without a buddy. We had Will.
And they always beat on me, and I like it because it makes me tougher.
Will is a freshman in high school and has already seen some action on the varsity team. He's not as big as Matt or Derek, but he is bigger than Tom was at his age. Will has the luxury of having 3 older brothers give him the knowledge to be a step ahead of his peers, which gives him a lot to live up to.
Yeah, they see the Matt, Tom, and Derek, and they see what they've done, So they're like expecting that I can live up to those things, and that's what I'm trying to do.
These brothers share a bond that is special.
We're all really close, and we're always there for each other, which is good. And we always know we got each other's backs.
I mean, we fight sometimes, but that gets over real fast, and we're back to being just really close and laughing and having a good time with each other.
A fight with one of us, I guess we're all gonna come.
Yeah, I mean, we all got each other's backs, so I mean, I don't know, we're just brothers. I don't think anything special of it.
I don't know if they understand what a special bond it is because they've had it all their life. Other football players at the boys' colleges and at their schools, they talk about wanting that. Yeah, I wish I had that relationship like you have with your brother. I wish my brothers were as close as you. I hear it all the time. I hear it from other parents. What was the trick? How did you get those boys so close? And I don't know. I don't know.
This busy family can only get together a few days a year. One of those times was last November in Ames, Iowa, when Tom and Derek played against each other for the final time. The experience was overwhelming for Christine.
I thought it was going to be the best game of my life. I was so excited for it until the first snap of the ball, and I realized I can't really cheer for anybody to win.
Football has definitely been the spotlight for this family, but it's not what defines them.
I want my boys and I want people to know that their self-worth isn't what happens on a football field. And that's really been probably the hardest thing for me is I want people to recognize my boys as just being good people, not just good football players. Although that is important in their identity, I understand that, but that's not their self-worth. God forbid something happened, they couldn't play football. I don't want my children to think that that's all they had, that's all that they're worth in this world. I don't want people to think that that's all they are, because they're fantastic.
All right, it's Jason and Darren. Great story. And just talk a little bit more about Tom, the oldest, who got all this started, and he is done playing now at Iowa State, but is he done playing? Can he play in the NFL maybe?
I wouldn't count this guy out. Every step of the way, he's proven people wrong. From high school to college, people didn't think he would make it in the Big 12. Well, he's made it in a big way. He's been all-conference honorable mention his last 3 seasons, and now is playing some of the best center of anybody in the nation. Now, it looks like to all the draft boards, he might not, be one of the top centers picked in the draft. He'll probably get a free agent contract, and if he does, I would not count him out. He will make that team, I think.
All right. And you saw some of Tom's tattoos, right? Is this just some random ink, or is this meaningful stuff? What's with the
Well,
tattoos?
we got into this brothers bond. I asked him, what's your relationship like with your brothers? And he's like, we're just brothers. But it goes a little deeper than that. He's got 3 doves tattooed on his arm and a stripe across his chest that I'm my brother's keeper. That just shows you what kind of a special relationship these brothers actually have.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Well, up next on Midco Sports Magazine, a story of basketball and brotherhood and how they have helped a young man put his life back together after he lived through a shooting at his high school. Welcome back to Midco Sports Magazine. Well, Kyler Erickson just finished up his senior season playing basketball at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. You might have seen him when the Mavericks played at USD or South Dakota State or North Dakota State. But the fact that he was on the floor at all is an amazing story, given what he went through in high school. Jay Elson has his story.
Natural ability goes a long way in high school basketball. Kyler Erickson had a lot of it. What he lacked in size, he more than made up for in quickness and creativity. After helping lead Omaha's Millard South High School back to the Nebraska State Tournament for the first time in nearly a decade as a junior, Erickson showed even more promise as a senior. College coaches were taking notice, and it was pretty clear that basketball was a ticket to somewhere. But no one could have predicted the direction the game would take Erickson on January 5th, 2011.
We had a game the night before, and so I hurt my ankle pretty bad in that game, and so I was sitting in class and I asked for a pass to go to the nurse's office just to ice my ankle a little bit. When I was there, we had a student who got suspended that morning and then came back, and he had his father's gun.
Shooting at Millard's house, 14905 Q Street.
Shots fired. Cup an officer. 147 Q, Millard's house.
Robert Butler Jr., the son of an Omaha police detective, shot 2 people, Assistant Principal Vicki Casper and Principal Curtis Case, in the school's main office. As he left the building, he fired at and missed a school custodian. Debris from that shot injured a school nurse.
We need a medic at the front office. Got an adult male down with an injury to the head. Pierce?
One wall separated us from the assistant principal's office and the principal's office, and so I heard, everything there was to hear, and I saw, just a lot of blood.
Down 22, suspect is gone. Robert Butler is his name. Red Honda Accord 2-door.
Police found Butler in his car less than an hour later, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. One of the victims, Casper, died that night. In the wake of the shooting, Erickson was understandably shaken. But the full effects from that terrifying day didn't surface until his freshman year at Northwest Missouri State University.
Everybody's brain is different, and so I know a lot of people who were in the office who saw the same stuff that I did. It hit them a month later, 2 months later, and so for me it hit a year and a half.
Kyler was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD.
I, would wake up a lot of nights and see these ghosts and see these figures, and I didn't want to tell a lot of people because I kind of thought of it just as something you want to push aside, and I was a college athlete. I didn't want that to affect me or affect my scholarship, and so I kind of just held it in.
As time passed and the symptoms persisted, Erickson realized he needed help. So following his freshman year, Kyler returned to Omaha to begin a therapy program known as EMDR.
It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And so it moves it from one side of your brain to the other, so that's no longer attached with your emotions. We would go in this room and there'd be this, this little panel, this board with lights, all different, shapes and sizes, and you had to focus on these lights while these lights around the room were kind of flashing in all different directions. And so I don't know who came up with it or how, but it does wonders for you.
After 3 months of intense treatment, Kyler's PTSD was virtually cured. The nightmares were gone, and the memories, while still vivid, were no longer crippling. He was emotionally free for the first time since the shooting.
It just completely changed when you go through something like this, and everything my school has and I did, you just kind of soften up and become almost a better person because of it. It's kind of the only choice you have.
It started with forgiveness. Erickson may never understand why Butler pulled that trigger, but he's learned to live with a limitless sense of compassion, a quality he credits to his own struggle with mental health.
These disorders that people have, they can be so strong, and that's what forces people to do stuff like this. And I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault or anything like that, but these things are so much stronger than we think or than we know, and that's why we see all these horrific events that happen.
Erickson, who transferred to Nebraska Omaha in 2013, took things to a new level about a year ago with this self-produced message of hope.
I'm just a kid who dreams of a world with less suicides, less school shootings, less hate, more love, more kindness.
Initially, he wasn't sure what would come of it. That is until his mother showed it to a family member, a war veteran who was in his own bout with PTSD.
He saw the video and then he shared it and then tagged me in it on Facebook. And so then, my friends saw it and they started sharing it, and then the news saw it. They were over there, I think, that same night. And so I was sitting on my computer answering Facebook messages, emails from, I think it was 5 p.m. till 2 a.m.
The correspondence hasn't stopped, and neither has Kyler. He produced a second video about 6 months later. At last check, his messages had been seen by more than 25,000 people in 13 countries.
I guess my message is just that you're not alone, you're important, you're loved, and you have a purpose on this earth, and so when you think, nobody likes me or nobody cares, I'm putting kind of my name out there and my website, my contact me, call me, whatever it is, because, I care for you, and I want to get you help.
Erickson says countless people, politicians, famous speakers, even athletes, have contacted him. Some just want to say thanks, while others are looking for support from someone that survived the struggle.
A lot of people say, I've gone through the same stuff, I just never wanted to tell anybody, or I didn't want to share that with people. And so since then, a lot of people have opened up and they've gotten help, and they saw kind of what can happen when you make yourself a little vulnerable by sharing that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, you're changing so many lives and opening people's eyes to a world they had never seen before.
Joined by Jay Elson and Kyler, great kid. He's already out there as a public speaker and as a counselor of sorts. Is that something that he would like to keep doing and maybe do it as a professional?
Yeah, it is something that he's already doing and something he does see himself doing full time and maybe even traveling the country, traveling the world, sharing his story, trying to help as many people as possible. One thing that he does like to share with people is the fact that you can see how his life got better after treatment. And that's what he wants to say, to be able to show people, is just that, hey, look at me, I'm an example of what can happen if you go get the help you need.
All right, thanks, Jay. Well, up next, cute little tykes on cute little bikes. Actually, these little bikes with no pedals have become a big business in the Black Hills. Welcome back. Well, a lot of people have a great idea to build a better mousetrap and make $1 million, but very few actually make it happen, like the gentleman in our next story. He built a better bicycle, and he has built that now into a business that has brought joy to millions who ride the Strider.
Strider started in my garage, really. In 2006, I built a bike for my son, and with really no intention to make a company out of this, but after a year of watching him progress on the bike, seeing how his skills developed, and then having so many people ask me, where did you get that bike, and how old is your son? I can't believe he's able to do what he's doing. I realized there was significant demand for a product like this.
Ryan McFarland loved, and still loves, riding dirt bikes in the Black Hills of South Dakota. In 2006, he could not wait to pass along his passion to his youngest son.
Try as he might on the tricycle and the little pedal bike, he just couldn't get it to all work. My wife would say, well, geez, he's just 2, give him some time, but I was just too impatient.
So determination led to inspiration, and McFarland knew that his son and any other toddler who had literally just learned how to walk could ride a bike if it was the right kind of bike.
I kept thinking that it's too big, it's too complicated, it's too heavy. He shows interest in riding. He's loving his little plastic toy that's light and simple, and then he tries to get on the tricycle and there's nothing. It just can't get it to move or anything.
So McFarland basically took a little bike, chopped off the pedals, got rid of the training wheels, lowered the seat so a 2-year-old's feet could reach the ground, made it light and easy to handle, and voila, the Strider. McFarland grew up working in a family-owned hotel, and in the mid-90s he started a company that made suspension systems for mountain bikes, and from that he gained experience in product development and marketing and e-commerce.
I'd gone through all of that with my previous business, and so what took me 5 years to accomplish the first time, we had up and running within the first year with Strider.
In early 2007, McFarland started to develop and perfect the product, and by late 2007, the first Strider bikes were ready for sale. Last year, he moved the company into a new 26,000 square foot building, and yes, they have sold a lot of Striders.
We just sold our 1 millionth bike in February, and those bikes have gone all over the globe. 75 different countries we're selling into now. We've got people even who come to our events from all around the world even, so it's been fun to see it grow.
Now, those events are part of the big picture that sets Strider apart from others that would try to copy the company's success. The annual Strider Championship Series consists of races and friendly little competitions held all around the world, and those lead to the World Championship in Rapid City. No pedals, but lots of medals for these little Strider riders. And while some bemoan the idea that America is becoming a participation society, that everybody gets a reward just for trying, that is exactly the point of a Strider event. Just get on and get out and ride and make some friends.
There's a portion of the event that is that competitive race, but then we also do a lot of fun stuff. We'll go see Mount Rushmore, and we'll take in local sites and have a big picnic and play day with all the kids. And it's very cool to see little kids from all these different countries, and a lot of times they don't even speak the same language, but they're all out there playing together, which is really cool to see.
And just like these little riders, the company has grown to include bigger bikes for older riders, made for people that for whatever reason had never experienced the freedom and the fun of simply riding a bike.
It really has been amazing because the very simplicity of the small bike that helps a toddler just intuitively learn to balance and ride is exactly what allows these bigger bikes to help other people with special needs or just a late start or whatever issue has kept them from learning to ride. They're now learning to ride. Those stories are really fun because a lot of times those people have wanted to ride for a long, long time, and there's been some hurdle that's kept them from riding. And so when you get those stories in, that really, I guess, empowers us here at the company to keep pushing harder and harder to develop the products, push the information out about the products and the curriculum and everything, because it really is a life changer.
Our thanks to Ryan McFarland, to the Farniak family, and to Kyler Erickson for sharing their stories. We'll see you next month on Midco Sports Magazine.